This is a video tutorial on an introduction to the CDBG environmental review process. Now it is my suggestion that when beginning a new environmental review, you visit the ADECA CDBG environmental website first. This way you will be assured of using the most current versions of all the required forms and will have access to the most recent documentation guidance and samples. The website receives periodic updates throughout the year, as well as from one grant cycle to the next. To access the website, if you do not already have it bookmarked, which I suggest that you do, you can do a Google search for the keywords ADECA Environmental. The website should be one of the first items listed, so just click the link. Alternately, you can access it through the Current Forms and Sample Documents link on ADECA's CDBG website. However you get to the page, you can see that it is broken up into 4 sections. The introduction, which includes a couple of short paragraphs on the basics of environmental reviews. The instructions section, which includes the environmental review guide and the environmental review process flowchart. The environmental review guide is designed to assist you in the completion of all the different levels of review. We'll get into more specifics about the guide shortly. The flowchart is a pictorial representation of the review process. You can use it as a quick reference guide if you wish. The document section contains downloadable files for your use. They include the required environmental review forms as well as checklists, how-to guides, and samples that can be used to assist in the documentation process. Lastly, there is the videos section. Here you can find video guidance on how to document your determinations for all the laws, regulations, and statutes that are required by HUD. Now, let's examine the Environmental Review Guide. Click on the link to open the file. You can download a copy or work straight from your browser. The Environmental Review Guide is designed as a one-stop shop to assist you in completing your review. In the top right-hand corner of each page is a link to my email address in case you have any questions. The guide is broken into 6 sections: the introduction, levels of review, other requirements, statutory checklist, notices, and monitoring. The introduction gives a little background on why reviews are done and what they are for. The levels of review section is broken into the 5 different levels of review: exempt, categorically excluded subject to Section 58.5, including those that convert to exempt; categorically excluded not subject to Section 58.5, environmental assessment, and environmental impact statement. In order to determine what level of review your project requires, you will need to review the regulations found at 24 CFR Part 58. They can be accessed via the web by clicking the link I've provided in the first paragraph in the Levels of Review section. On this page, you will see at 5834 the list of exempt activities. At 5835, you will see a list of categorical exclusions. For anything that does not fall in either of those 2 categories, an environmental assessment is required. Regulations for it can be found at 58.36. Once you've determined which level of review you are required to conduct, find the corresponding section in the guide. Each section lists all the forms and notices that are required to be completed for that level of review. The guide also indicates which forms and notices are required to be submitted to ADECA by use of the asterisk sign. Each project requires that the regulations found at Section 58.6, known as the Other Requirements, be documented for compliance. The regulations found at Section 58.5, known as the Statutory Checklist, must be documented for compliance for the categorically excluded subject to Section 58.5 and environmental assessment levels of review. The guide provides step-by-step instructions on how to properly document the regulation, including maps, websites, forms, samples, and other data files you may find useful. Remember, you can also find instructional videos on the ADECA Environmental webpage that can assist in the documentation process. By clicking the Other Requirements header, you will be directed to HUD's webpage containing guidance on compliance for all the laws, statutes, and regulations indicated as Sections 58.5 and 58.6. Clicking the individual law, state, statute, or regulation header will direct you to HUD's webpage that gives guidance on how to properly document that individual regulation. The Notices section indicates which notice to use with each level of review that requires notifications. It also shows the comment period durations for the different types of notices. The distribution lists for the different notices can be found at the end of the section, as well as sample notices and sample notification letters. The last section of the guide is the monitoring section. It includes links to the current monitoring checklists so that you can properly prepare for your monitoring visit. This completes your guided tour of the Environmental Review Guide. If you have any questions or find any of the information provided in the guide to be in error, please feel free to contact me. This has been a video tutorial on an introduction to the CDBG Environmental Review process. Thank you.